I love this question too, because it's funny because I think I'm gathering fears in some ways. Because my parents are old, and I'm more afraid of losing people. But I also realize I'm less afraid of losing myself.
I have to get to question two too, just because otherwise, I'll happily stay here forever. What's something in your adult life that you were once afraid of but no longer are?
When I was an undergrad, I was incredibly rigid as a person. I did extremely well in school, but it wasn't, I loved school, but it was also a way to control what felt unmanageable. And I had a terror of making a mistake, even of decisions. I would be kind of frozen sometimes. I remember being on the campus, and even knowing which way to go. I just had this sense, and I think that I used to visualize that there was a cliff, and over the cliff, it was just absolute darkness, and I was I was gonna not even fall over the cliff, but become completely atomized. It just dissipate. Not be a subject at all. And it was funny because when I started reading theory, I had these other colleagues, students, who were upset that theory was telling them they didn't have a self. Whereas I was like, oh, thank God. I was like, oh my God. It felt like a self-help manual because I was already in that state where I'm not sure I have one.
I don't want a self that needs to feel, what's the word? Coherent, connected. I'm okay with losing it. I'm okay with leaving it in places that I won't go back to.
I think when I talk to people about fears, they often articulate the fear of breakdown. That's a fundamental fear in ourselves, a fear of falling apart. I've had kind of these liminal experiences, I guess, my adult life, but a quite extreme state that ended me in the hospital 13 years ago. It was like being in such abject terror that first time. And then I found my way back. It can just be eye contact. It can just be touch. It can be holding on to a table, that there is something else. And then I slowly bring myself back from that in relation to the world and to other people. And so having been in that place that I most feared, I'm not as fearful of that.
There's no self to lose. What are the stakes, you know?
Yeah, how did you come to move from that place of fear to this place of like, oh, I am many selves, I am any self, or, I don't want only one self?
Here it is, classic. But I think it was huge grief. Like having my life be pulled out from under me and like encountering a grief that is like, I don't even know what to say about it. And managing to remain inside of it and love. Like I think like the first thing I thought of when you asked was just, it was loving my parents. Like if I want to speak more directly, it's like ways that you're told that after conflict, for example, or let's say structural differences between people, there are like incompatibilities, right? That we're told that you'll never get past. And I think I spent a lot of my childhood being like, someday these people will leave me because they don't understand me. And they don't love you, they won't stay, everything will be gone, poof, right? But then you arrive at that moment, and love is so much bigger than that. Love is not attached to understanding. Love is not attached to place. Love is not attached. It's not attachable. The ways that people are capable of loving each other, it doesn't understand the word incompatibility. It thinks that's foolish. I think that something I was really afraid of was becoming a different person. And I'm no longer so afraid of that. I think that I used to be very convinced that because so much of change can be volatile and at times violent and essentially uproot you from a person you recognize and create this immense distance between your perceived self and your actual self. I was terrified of it. I didn't want to become someone that would eventually be unrecognizable to myself. But I think that, especially over the course of the pandemic, I've been offered many opportunities in my life to kind of take a step forward and see what happens next. And without realizing it, I have come a lot farther than I thought from the person that I once was, even when the person that I was when I first arrived in this country. She's someone totally different. And for example, she would never have thought that she could write a book like this and be unwilling to compromise that voice. And I think that these changes are bringing me closer, perhaps, to the best version of myself, rather than a version of myself that I have already envisioned. And I'm excited to meet her.
The fear of having one story to tell. I feared for a long time that I had this one book idea, this one story that was rooting itself within me, and I was sort of blinded, and I didn't know what would happen after that.
Oh, I'm scared of so many things that I'm still scared of. But I think the one thing that I'm no longer scared of are ghosts, you know? Because in all the stories that I've been told by my dad, all the ghosts have a home. They're in the same place. You know, they return, they're repeaters. Their footsteps scatter across space. And I wanted so much to respond to this question and to say, I want so much to say that if you have no home, you cannot be haunted. But then as I told myself that question, I thought, can I hear myself? Can you hear how much I want to feel at home in that question, So I don't think I'm scared of ghosts any longer.
I've been thinking about this a lot. And I don't have a response about what I'm no longer afraid of. I have a response about what I am contending with and working towards, not being afraid of it. And it is the entire fullness of myself. The parts of me that are shunned in others and learned to shun in myself. The parts of me that the world has taught me are ugly. The shadow self. The parts of me that are most fierce and most unwilling to give ground. The parts of me that want gentlenesses and tendernesses that I am deeply, ongoingly afraid to ask for. That is what I'm working on being less afraid of. And I feel like that work is teaching me the possibility of actually loving the other in ways that I haven't been able to